Experts TV.
Topics you love.
Experts you trust.
Friction-free referrals.
Tried,
tested,
Trusted.
This is Book of Experts, brought to you by salesman.me.
All right, so welcome back. It is Book of Experts.tv time, and we've got a great masterclass for you. I say we. Let me show you how we're going to do this. So for those of you guys who are regular watchers of Book of Experts, you know I'm quite often hosting here, and I have a guest. So today it's going to be me and me. So sorry about the joke, but basically I'm presenting today. Oh, we lost the camera on that. I got a fuzzy camera. Hold on one sec. There we go. I think it'll come back. Here we go. Having a little bit of fun, obviously, with the hat. It's just me and my schizophrenic self. But I'm going to be the host, and I'm going to be presenting because today's topic, this is my jam. This is the thing that I talk about. I do workshops on this, and I'm really excited to share with you guys. Yeah, Bernie's having a little bit of fun with that, with the joke and the pink hat that I had to steal from my daughter. So let me show you guys what we're actually going to be talking about today. We'll do this. So the topic is called New Offers Masterclass. Ready to sell, offers that are ready to sell and sell themselves, right? And specifically what we're going to be talking about, I want to show you guys a little bit of this. So we're going to talk about one big uncomfortable truth. And I bet you guys haven't heard this somewhere else. I have a couple things that I'm bringing to the table today, stuff that I have not shared in other places. I think you guys will be excited to see this. A lot of you guys know me. You've heard me talk on different subjects, talk about conversational outreach, talk about the book that we have coming up. But I've got some new stuff that I'm bringing for you guys today. And one of them is going to be, this big uncomfortable truth. We're going to hit that right off the bat. Then I'm going to share with you 3 big ideas. And these aren't just, conceptually, it's interesting or whatever. I've actually got some meat in this that you can go and do. In fact, one of the things that you guys want to do, let me grab the URL for this because I'm going to throw it in the chat right now. If you guys have not joined us on, so we use AirMeet for our virtual event. So the folks that are going to be watching this event inside AirMeet, we're going to do Q&A tables right afterwards. And after the Q&A tables, we do networking. So you get to meet the other experts. If you have a question for me, that's great. I'll answer that too. But you get to meet the other experts inside our community. And we're going to do a couple exercises tonight, actually. I have some embedded things that we're going to talk about in the live stream that will carry over. So I'm going to put that link in the comments for you guys right now if you want to join us. Because listen, I know we've got some folks, you're watching on YouTube. You might have caught this on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. So if you want to join us there, I just put the link in the comments. You can find us that way. And, we'd love to chat and get to know you a little bit. So back to what I promised, which is 1 big uncomfortable truth, 3 big ideas. And then lastly, I'm going to put in, what was the other thing I wanted to share? Oh yeah, a special invitation. So this is, if you are already part of our Book of Experts community, I've got something for you. I think you're going to really like this. It may not be a fit for everyone, and that's more than okay. But for those of you who want to do the deeper dive, I think this is going to make total sense. And we've got a deep discount for you on that. And then for those of you who you don't really know Book of Experts yet, you haven't got to know us, we haven't got to know you, whether it's a fit. I actually have, we were joking about it earlier today. Caitlin liked this. Caitlin, I'm saying this for you, the Godfather offer, the offer that you can't refuse because it's like, how could you not do it under this situation, these circumstances with this kind of invitation? So here's the one thing I'd love to know with you before I dive into this, because again, I've got this laid out for the next hour. I'm going to make sure you get all of these things. I've got some not really slides. I'm going to be handwriting for you. But before we do that, I would love to hear from you guys, particularly those of you who are catching us on the multi-stream here across the different platforms. Tell us if you're new. Like, just type in, "Hey, I'm new to Book of Experts." Love to hear from you guys and get to know. Like, I'd love to see you. Tell us where you're calling in from, because that's kind of cool to see too. We know that we have experts all over the map in all different subjects. If you're one of our returning folks, I have a different challenge for you. I'm going to ask you to actually share not your whole hook, who, how, now, but just share your hook, your one sentence hook. By the way, if you haven't done that with us, you need to get your butt to a Purple Cow workshop. We do those on Wednesdays. You'll understand why I'm talking about this in a moment, but those hooks are incredibly powerful. In fact, I'll share for a moment that John Daniels, one of our members, he was telling me a story last week. He went to a networking event and he used his hook, who, how, now, and he said, "I felt like a giant in the room." I'm not gonna spoil him sharing his hook. John, if you're with us, make sure you get that in, because I want people to see this. But this is the difference. He was at a traditional networking event, and he said, "I felt like a giant in the room," because people went around the room, they did their thing, everyone was there to get business, but it was just like, ho hum. And then when he shared, people said, "Whoa, like, how do you do that?" Like, they were leaning in, they were engaging with him. That's what we do out of the Purple Cow. Yeah, it's COW, category of one workshop. It's actually, don't make fun of me. I know the acronym thing. I abuse it a little bit, but that's what we've got. Anyways, so we're one big uncomfortable through three big ideas, a special invitation, whether you're in Book of Experts or you're not. That's what I've got for you guys now. Again, make sure you share. I'll be jumping. It's just me today, right? I showed you the hat, not hat. It's just me today. So I will jump back and forth to look at the comments in AirMeet for our community that's meeting there. Again, we'll do the Q&A tables afterwards. And then if you're on one of the social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you're watching this, make sure you jump in and tell us. I'm new to Book of Experts. I don't know what you guys do. I'd like to learn more, or I'm just curious. I stopped in to see what you guys are doing. If you're one of our members, make sure you get your hook in there, because we want others to see that. It's a great chance to do what we want to do with you guys. Get that hook in front of more people. So with that said, here's what else I have on this. So for today, this particularly, what I have for you guys is, let me move my screen around for a second. Let's try it this way. What I have for you guys, this is going to be particularly good if you're thinking about, like, last year was different, right? 2020 was a different kind of year. So you may already be in the midst of doing this, but if you're thinking about launching a new offer, maybe you've already got one and it hasn't quite gone as you had planned, but you're thinking about launching a new offer, maybe to a new audience. Quite often I hear with entrepreneurs, they're like, "Yeah, I've got something going, but I'm thinking about leveling up my audience because I see this other need." So basically, you've got something going and you want to get it out, and you may not be starting from zero, but this offer, this new thing that you got, is starting from zero. That's really what we're focused on. In fact, here's what I want you to do right now. This is an actual do. I want you to think about that offer that you've kind of been contemplating. And if you've been an entrepreneur for any amount of time, you probably have dozens of these. I'm talking about the one that's really the one that won't let you go. You just keep thinking about it. You got to do something with it, right? I want you to think about that offer. I want you to hold it in your mind's eye. You don't share this with anyone yet. Don't put it in the comments. Don't go jumping ahead yet. Hold it in your mind's eye for a second. Just think about that thing that you've been wanting to do. And more importantly, allow yourself to play with it a little bit. The daydream of like, I could do this. And if I had 10 people that came in and, it was like, daydream a little bit like you often do. But I want you to actually, this is important from an energetic perspective. It's really important that we get in the state of thinking about this idea, because I have something really important I have to share with you in a moment. You may even be wondering, actually, let's do it like this. You may even be wondering, will this work for me? Or it might be one of these. Will this work for me this time? Because you've tried some things in the past and it hasn't really worked out, right? I've been there, done that too. So some of those thoughts made that voice is kind of in the back asking some of these questions. Can I do it? Could it actually work for me this time? Is this you're wondering about this stuff, right? We wonder it. We're holding the daydream. That's why it's important that you got in touch with that for a second. You're holding that there. And at the same time, you got this little voice there. So here's what I want you to think about. I'm going to change my color here because I think it's that important. I'm going to say that offer. By the way, what do I mean by your offer? It could be a program, could be a product, could be new services, right? So I'm using the term offer because that thing that you're going to bring to market, that offer, and folks, this is the uncomfortable truth. That offer, the one that we love so much, that's part of your daydream, and you also have that voice in the back of your mind kind of questioning, that offer is cursed before you even start. Holy cow, what am I doing here? This is how I start a masterclass? No, you know what? I'm keeping it real with you guys, because the faster you hear this and we remedy it, the better off you're going to be. But I told you, it's going to be an uncomfortable truth. And this is a fact. I hear you. That offer is cursed. And by the way, it's not your fault. It's 100% natural. If you are an entrepreneur, you probably experienced this multiple times, and it's been so frustrating. And if someone had told you the damn offer was cursed before you started, you probably would have done things differently. I'm guessing, right? You would have adjusted course. Like, wouldn't that be great if someone could tell you what's around the corner and you could make your, like those time travel movies. By the way, if you guys haven't watched it on Amazon Prime, there's a movie called Map of Little Perfect Things, Little Perfect Moments, I think it is. It's worth watching. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole today, but it's worth watching. And it's this idea: if you knew what was going to happen, what would you do then? What would you do next, right? So I'm just telling you, that offer is cursed before you even get started, and it's not your fault. And of course, you would feel excited getting it started, all the momentum, the excitement when we start something new and we pour ourselves into it. And of course, you would be deflated, dejected, maybe even feel depressed when the rug gets pulled out from under you. Of course, you would feel that way. I'm just telling you, it does not have to be that way, and we do have a remedy. But I wanted to be upfront with you. I wanted to be real with you. So that's the big. No. Oh, there we go. That's the again the big uncomfortable truth is that when we develop offers, I'm particularly talking about you guys, subject matter experts in your business, like hard fought, hard won, years of expertise, earning your stripes. I know you guys, coaches, consultants, agency owners, B2B service providers, speakers, authors. Like, this is not commodity stuff. This is not what anybody on the street can do. This is world-changing, transformational stuff that you have poured yourself into to make a difference in the world. You love what you do. You want an opportunity to do more of it. And I get it. The big uncomfortable truth is that when we come up with these ideas, they are cursed from the start because you are too close to the work. As an expert, you are in it. As Erica Holthausen says, Erica, by the way, I saw you're here, and I want to give you a shout out on this one. She says, it's not that I can't see the forest for the trees. She says, all I can see is bark, right? My nose is right there. I can see the little insects in the bark, right? And that's what I'm talking about with subject. You guys know your work, your trade, your skill, your zone of genius so well that is why it is a cursed offer. It's not that you've done anything wrong. It is a matter of perspective because of that hard-fought, hard-won expertise that you have. The good thing is the curse can be reversed. And that's what we're going to talk about for the masterclass today. Is this making sense so far? I see a couple of people are enjoying the jokes. Good. I'm glad you guys enjoy that. I'm going to jump over to Airmeet for a second just to make sure. All right, cool. Good, good, good. And I see some of those hooks. That's awesome. I love seeing the hooks show up there. You guys should get your hook in place because, boy, John Daniels, I see you're with us as well. That's the point, right? Get that out in front of people and let them, and this is key. You'll see what we're talking about today, to actually get the feedback loop going, to accelerate this process so that it starts to go to work for you. All right, so let's jump into big idea number one. Yeah, we'll do that. All right, so big idea number one. Now, if you guys have been hanging around me for any amount of time, you have heard me talk about the 4 gears of marketing. By the way, the 4 gears is not the big idea. I'm just, for a couple of you guys, I saw some new names. I'm going to do like the 30-second review just so you understand. But my background was digital marketing, push the send buttons, get it out in front of thousands of people. At one point we sent 2 emails, produced $1.5 million. Yeah, it was fun. It was like playing a game, not always easy. It's also inconsistent, and that world is changing, that traditional digital marketing, big funnel process. So the 4 gears of marketing came from my response to looking for, if I have to put all my weight on something, what am I going to do? And it looks like this. It's gear number 1, right? Gear number 1 is first gear. And it's all about creating conversations. Actually, let's write this out so you guys can actually see us. So first gear, the focus of this is going to be conversations. And what we're actually going to do in first gear, I'll share that in just a moment. But just so you know, I don't think there's any surprises here. There's a third, and there's a second, a third, and a fourth, right? The size of the gears actually matters, right? Because your focus in the leverage, and if you've ever ridden a bike, you know what I'm talking about. That smaller gear actually gets you there faster. But if you try to start out in 4th gear, and that's the analogy, folks, here, if your car's in the parking lot, you can't shift into 4th gear and go fast. If you get on the freeway, you're cruising down the freeway, you can shift into 4th gear or whatever your high gear is, and you can cruise. Life is good. Life is good. Tunes are blaring, top is down, wind in your hair, like life is good. We all see that. That's what the funnel builders are selling you. You should be running the other way. It's not that that doesn't work. It does work for them. It's right strategy at the right time. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But first gear is conversations. And what you do in the conversations, what's so important here is we're actually going to listen. So important that we actually don't just pitch. We don't just share that thing that we want, that we actually listen. I'll show you very practical examples of this in a little bit. The second gear, again, I'm being really quick. I'm going to rush through this because we've got a lot to talk about tonight. Second gear is content. And when you do content, we don't want to create all the content in the world. That feels like a kick in the pants. It feels like you can't ever make enough if you're trying to do attraction marketing. We only skim the surface, take the cream of the crop, cream off the top, so to speak, of the content. So we do 20% of the work that's going to get you 80% of the results. And what do? We look at the results. We actually pay attention to what's working. We have a process for that I'm not teaching tonight, by the way. We're not going to get into this tonight, but I want folks who don't know me and know my background to have this schema, because it's really going to be important when you to understand the bigger picture in a little bit. Third gear is actually champions. We sometimes call this collaboration. I like champions better. But this is actually where you meet the people who already have the ear. They have the trust of the people that you want to connect with, your right fit clients. You want to make friends with those champions, right? Because when they become your champion, and there's a process there, it doesn't just happen. But when they become your champion, holy cow, opens the door to what can be huge streams of business, because they already have built, it's their audience. They've built the trust. You're borrowing that relationship through them. You have to earn it, by the way, but it can be magic. And when we get to champions, it's all about love. The love has to flow. If the love's not there, if it's transactional, you're not going to get the results you're looking for. And then the last one, This is actually the world I was telling you about before. This is where you can start to look at paid traffic. You can look at automation. You can look at funnels. This is the fourth year that I was talking about before, right? It's the one-to-many approach. It's the make money while you're asleep, right? So your funnel becomes that ATM that prints money for you. It can work that way. No one starts out in fourth gear. Your car just stalls in fourth gear. It's first gear to get out of the parking lot, second gear to go down the side street, third gear is the on-ramp, fourth gear you get up on the interstate and you can cruise all over the country, all over the world at that point. You can have fun. And here we're talking about leverage. And everybody says, well, start with leverage. I want that. Yes, you do. But you also want a car that will get you to where you want to go, which means shifting the gears and getting the results you want. So this is all cool, right? Some of you out there are saying, hey, like, Guy, you've talked about this for a while. I've seen this before. I didn't show up to get a big idea and hear the exact same thing. I get it. I hear you. This is actually not the big idea. This is just a little bit of background. The big idea is that there's actually a reverse gear. Because if your car is parked in that parking lot, like you're in that actual parking spot, first gear, if there's a car in front of you or what do you call those little concrete things in front of you, and you can't go forward, first gear is not going to do you a damn good business either, right? You can't get there. So you need reverse so you can back your car out of that spot. Then you can go first gear and make all this stuff happen. And interestingly, reverse gear, super useful, right? If a car doesn't have it, someone's going to have to put it in neutral and push you out, right? It's going to be a lot harder. But the interesting thing about reverse gears, you can actually back your way into a sale. You can actually, I'm going to write that down, back your way into the sale. That means you can have conversations with people that is, you're not selling them on anything, and you'll walk away with a new enrollment in your program. And it's actually the perfect process when you're launching something new, is to walk through this process. Now, some of you in Book of Experts have seen some of this information, or I teach it slightly different, but Caitlin talks about the sales survey process. Sometimes people call it market research. I do not like market research, and I'll tell you why. Let's do this. Market research, and then we'll have fun with this, right? We'll say we're going to cross that out. And here's why: because market research doesn't pay you, right? Market research, you're collecting information, and that might be a byproduct of having a conversation in reverse gear. You might get some great insights, but I want you guys to get that first couple enrollments, because it makes all the difference in the world. When you launch that new program, you get the first couple of people in, like, you learn so much, they learn so much, you get results that draws other folks in, like it starts the ball rolling down the hill. But when you're stuck, when you've got that cursed offer, I'm coming back to that. I promised you we're going to reverse the curse. But when you've got that cursed offer, it feels like you are stuck in molasses, right? You have flat tires, whatever analogy we want to talk about right now. So we're going to talk about reverse gear. But this is big idea number one, was that I wanted you to understand the context of the 4 gears of marketing, why it matters to you, how it's more like, this is if someone put a gun to my head and I had to make things happen, this is what I do. I do it anyways, because one, if you do it right, it can be fun and playful, but this is what I put all my weight on for. This is the consistency and the predictability, because it's about having long-term relationships with long-term people. It's a people business. It's about actually going and talking to real people. And if you do anything where the marketing creates distance between you and those people, you're actually slowing yourself down. You're hurting yourself. So you got to go talk to real people. And when you actually do this the right way, it's really interesting what happens, the dynamic that comes out of it. It will surprise you how easy the sales process, the sales conversation happens out of that at that point, because you're talking about not yourself and not what you're offering. We're actually going to talk about the person that you're meeting. I think, let me look at my notes here. Is this making sense? Is this making sense? Here's what I'd ask you guys. If what I've shared so far sort of makes sense conceptually, I know we haven't got into the details. Some of you are saying like, all right, I get it. Show me how. I want to know how. I want to go do this. I want to get I want to enroll a couple people here. I want to prove this works for myself. I hear you. That's coming. But I want to make sure you guys are with me conceptually, that this makes sense. So if you're with me, just put in the comments. I'm going to do a quick, just put, let's drive together, right? We got the 4 gears, we got reverse, so we can back out of the parking spot. Just throw in the comments, let's drive. So I know that you're with me. You can throw your questions in there too. If just understand, I got a lot of information for you guys. The big thing is that when you're selling new offers, it's going to be hard if you don't use the right strategy at the right time. But when you do it right, it's easy to sell because people will actually tell you what they want to buy. And then the selling conversation is you just have to say, this is what you do next. This is how we make it happen, right? Okay, let's look at big idea number 2 that I promised you. All right. Oh yeah. So I knew I had a little bit. I was looking at my notes. The challenge today, we're going to talk about an offer that sells itself with the help of the ultimate marketing consultant. That, by the way, I'm giving attribution on that. I forgot to write this in, but that is an Adam Urbanski reference. Adam, if you see this, I want you to know that I'm giving you the credit where you deserve it. Because I learned that from him. But I love that reference of going to the ultimate marketing consultant, which is the person that's going to pay you. Doesn't matter what my opinion is. If I'm not the one buying, it doesn't count as much as the ultimate marketing consultant. But we're going to get clear on your special offering. We're going to determine who your right fit or your perfect prospects are. We're going to delight your buyer with what they want to buy. That's why it's a completely different kind of conversation. It's what they want to buy. And we're going to probably, for some of you, overcome those psychological blocks, as Caitlin says, even when you hate sales, because when you can start to make the selling fun again, wow, sky's the limit. And even if you feel really shy to do the networking stuff that we have coming up, I have a really fun sort of way of doing that for you guys as well. So that's the challenge today. That's what we're going to accomplish in our time together. We're about halfway through. Yeah, we're on track. Just a heads up, I will make sure that you guys, I'm going to grab this link one more time. You actually want to join us, if you can, over in AirMeet, because that's where when the live stream stops, we're going to keep going on Q&A tables, and I'm going to meet with folks, and I have a couple exercises. I want to actually hear your feedback, and because again, the challenge today is to create these offers. It's not just to talk about it, not just to do an exercise. So let me throw the AirMeet link into the social platform. So if someone's catching the live stream, you can join us there. And yeah, let's do the next big idea number 2. Big idea number 2. I love this quote from Einstein. He says, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and then 5 minutes thinking about the solution. Now, everybody has heard the Lincoln quote, right? You know, if I had 6 hours to chop down the tree, I'd spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Great conceptually, I think we all get it. But here, look at this. This one's a little bit different. By the way, there's a variation of this where he says, if I had to save the world and I only had an hour to do it, you know, he would spend 55 minutes thinking about the questions, and then he'd use 5 minutes to actually solve the problem and save the world, right? So the extreme, this is the, you know, extreme, this is the 90% of time. This is why we're going to create these conversations with people. We're actually going to go talk to real people. We're going to ask them what they care about, what would solve their problems, what they would want to buy in a situation like this that they're telling you about. They're giving you the words. Your best messaging is going to come from your audience, not from your imagination. The cursed offer that you've been thinking about is coming from your imagination. That's not why it's working. Sorry, that's why it's not working. I think I gave you a double negative. That is why it's not working. It's cursed because it's coming from your imagination, from someone who's got their nose up against the bark. And so you're not talking their language. You're talking gibberish to them. They don't get your perspective. They can't know what you know. You are the expert. You have to lead them through the process. But in order to lead them, you have to listen first, because they'll actually tell you the words that you're going to use to attract those perfect prospects, those right fit clients. They'll actually tell you. And when it's like magic, you start doing this, you start using their words instead of yours, and you start creating the offer that they told you that they wanted to buy instead of what you thought you wanted to do. And it's like the magic happens. This is the dialogue that drives sales. So I want to show, let's do this for a second. Let's do blue. So I want to draw a little diagram here of like, this is you, right? And specifically it's, it's that thing that you love and you're good at it, right? So this is that. Remember, I had you hold that offer in your mind's eye earlier. The program that you've been thinking, I should do this. I should do a group program. I should do a mastermind. I should do, I don't know what it is, a new product. I should create some software. You've got something there. This is that thing. You're loving it. It is like a baby. I feel that way about Book of Experts. But here's the interesting thing. Here is what your people want, right? What they? I'm just using they because it's a placeholder right now. But it's your peeps, your kind of people, the people that you could fall in love with. That you love their problems, not the product that you're designing. And the most important thing here is this space right here. This is where the magic is going to happen, the overlap between the two. This is where we reverse the curse. Because when we focus there, it's falling into the zone where they're saying, yeah, I want that. I would pay for that. I probably pay a lot for that because of the problems that I've had in the past. And it overlaps with something that you do. It's probably not what you're thinking about right now. And this is the problem, is that most people come out thinking about solutions. Remember what Einstein said up above? He said, I'm going to focus on the problems first. These are the problems. And most of us, when we think about, I could do this, I'm really good at this, it would be fun to do this, I could do a mastermind, I'd be great at running a mastermind, whatever it is, we're thinking about the solutions. And it's natural. You are the expert. You're the leader. Of course you think about the solutions. You know what the value of what you can bring to the world. The problem is they don't. The world doesn't know what you don't, or they'd be your competition if they did. And it would be a commodity, right? If everybody knew what you did, it wouldn't be an expertise any longer. It would be a commodity, right? So we focus here and we curse ourselves if we focused here, they would hand us exactly what they want. And most likely, not everyone, but most likely they would hand their credit cards over too, because they told you what they want. They just told you what they want. I would buy it if it looked like this. I think, I've got a couple notes. So what are the benefits of doing this approach to having reverse gear in your car? You have immediate access to what the market wants. You only create the stuff that they care about. This, by the way, there's millions of examples of software. What's the most, like Instagram was built this way, Flickr was built this way, Slack was built this way, Facebook was built this way, where they created software that had all this stuff in it that they thought, we're doing this in Book of Experts, by the way. We're having these growing pains in Book of Experts, where we built stuff and we said, this is going to be great. People are going to love this. They didn't use that, but they really like this other thing, right? And this is just how, because we're the experts, we're too close to it, our nose is up against the bark, but the people who actually use your product, your program, your service, they'll tell you, I love this thing that you threw in as an extra because it wasn't going to cost you anything extra, wasn't going to cost you any money, a little bit of your time, and you're like, throw it in there just to add a little bit more juice to the squeeze. That ends up being the reason why they buy it. And you could actually cut away the painful things that actually cost you money and cost you time and are a pain in the butt. You could extract and remove some of those things and just give them what they want, the juice from that squeeze, right? And which means then you can create it 10 times faster. You can get paid, and you should be paid to build the prototype. That's the smartest way to do it. It's the most effective marketing that you'll ever see, because it comes from the people. Birds of a feather flock together. You the people that you want, and you say, I have this one client, they're awesome, I want more like that. You use their language, it will attract other people like them. You learn what the hot button issues are so that you can create those killer bonuses. Apologies, by the way, I'm going to say this right up front. Kat Stancic, if you're seeing this, she just hates it when I use, she calls it bro marketing language. So killer offers, killer bonuses. She's going to say, what is wrong with you? Why are you talking about killing the people that you love, right? Your right fit clients and all that. I'm just saying, listen, it's a phrase that you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like the thing that is just going to put it over the top, right? So that's what I'm referencing there. Apologies up front, Kat. They're going to have to buy they are going to buy their stuff that they want, that they've already told you that they want, not your stuff. Because when we're selling our stuff, we have to convince people. But when we give them the stuff that they want, that they told us that they want, it becomes very compelling. All right. Big idea number 3. You carry this tool in your pocket every day. Maybe it's not even in your pocket. You can just wait, say hello. But there's a process here. All right. And the reason, this is the mnemonic that I use. Mnemonic means the device that I use to remind myself, because when I'm having a conversation and it helped me learn this, I literally can count the fingers on my hand. So each finger stands for something it's a 5-part framework, right? And I just wanted something that I could learn. So the first one, the first question, the thumb, is actually, you need to understand who they are and where they're coming from. Like, what's their story? And I like this one. I think of it like when you see people hitchhiking, they stick their thumb up. So it's kind of like, who's this person? Like, what's their story, right? Why are they hitchhiking on the side of the road with a backpack or a canoe paddle, right? A life jacket and a canoe paddle, right? What's the story behind that? That's why I think of the thumb. That's how you'll remember that one. The second one is actually the index finger. This is actually, the index finger is because we use it to point at stuff. So what do they want? Can they actually point? Listen, if they don't know what they want, you're going to struggle to help them, struggle to get them to buy anything, because they're not going to be compelled. They have to know what they want, and you have to decide whether you're the right person to help them get that. But if they can point it out, yeah, I want this, it looks like this, it would be here, and ideally it would be in this time frame, like next week or next month or next quarter. Like, when they can be specific about that, those are your best opportunities to actually really do the transformational work. I think you guys know that. That's nothing new, right? But use your index finger to point at what people want. And these are questions, by the way, that we're actually asking them. I'll show you the questions in a moment. So the middle finger, I'm not going to say the word, but you guys know what I'm talking about. This middle finger, right? This middle finger here, what happens if we don't get there, right? You know what I'm talking about? I'm not going to say it. What happens if we don't get it done? Whatever it is, whatever your area of expertise, whatever that, could be business, could be personal, like that. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but you know what happens yeah. And so that's how I remember that. The middle finger is like the questions around, all right, so you say you want this thing. So what happens if that does? You have to understand that. You have to understand people's story and where they want to go. And if they don't get there, what does that? Because if there's no emotion around that, they're not going to hand you a credit card. They're not going to enroll in your program, no matter how good it is, because they don't care enough. It's not compelling. They don't need it. There's no felt need there, right? So you have to ask those questions to understand what is their motivation. What happens if they don't get this thing that they told you they just wanted? Is it important enough for them? Okay. The ring finger, right? I like this one because this is where we actually, why do I keep losing my pencil? There we go. Marry the magic solution. Now, some people will say, if you could wave a magic wand, what would that look like? I used to use that question a lot too, and I got kind of tired of it. My favorite these days is say, if there was an easy button, what would that look like? But it's a question of what would the ideal solution look like to them? Not the one that you've been thinking about, not the cursed one, but the one that they actually would like. They will describe it for you. And we're going to marry that. That's why we remember it, right? It's your wedding band finger, right? And then the last one, the last finger here is the pinky. And this is where we do the little details. Okay. And this is like, so what would support look like for you? Oh, you'd want to be able to talk to someone, not just every week or every 2 weeks or whatever, but you'd like to be able to have someone that you could call up when you get stuck. So maybe laser coaching sessions could be really useful here. You don't know what that is? Well, a laser coaching session works like this, right? You describe that and they're like, oh my God, you mean I could, within 24 hours, I would never get stuck again for more than 24 hours. Holy cow. I just spent the last 6 weeks trying to make this thing work and I didn't know how to fix it. And I was waiting for my next, no, we got that for you, right? So what are the little details? What would support ideal, perfect, easy button support look like for them? Would you have a budget for that? What would that look like? Oh yeah. So you would pay up to $50 for that. Great. I have the book for you. I have a book that's actually going to answer, there's a price point for different things. Oh, well, maybe it's a high ticket. Maybe it's $50,000. There's a big difference between $50 and $50,000. But to the person, they know what they need. And if they want the $50 book, maybe they're the right fit clients for you at that level. And this is one of the things that we learn. We get a schema. And by the way, the thing that you're offering should be just a little bit outside. Just because they say, I'd only pay $25. No, they'll pay $50 for the book. If that book has the information in it that they want, they will go to that. All right. So I want to jump back to the questions for a second. What has been most helpful here? Would you throw in the comments for me? What has maybe been surprising, but what's been most helpful out of this so far? We're through big idea number 3, but I've got more good stuff for you. And it's not just the special invitation I mentioned before. I actually got some other things here. We'll also talk about, I'm going to go through those 5 questions in a moment again to just color them out a little bit more to give you some examples. But what's been most helpful out of what we've shared? I just want to look at the comments real quick here. Okay. Good. I like, and then I'm seeing the let's drives too. Here's some of the questions. For example, what's going on in your world? What's top of mind? This is when you're meeting someone. What do you care about right now? What are you actually focused on right now? What does that next level look like for you? Oh, you want to level up your business? Yeah. What does that look like? Oh, you go from, you have 10 clients now, but you double it to 20 clients. Cool. Yeah. Like, what's a client look like for you? Is it a full year? You work with them for 9? Just try to understand that. Second, index finger. So what would help you get there faster, right? Why are you not there yet now? What's happened that you're not there yet? What's stopping you? What have you tried? What would you try? Or what are you planning to do next? What are your alternatives? Remember number 3, that word I said, I'm not going to say. So what happens then? Can you keep going the way you are? Is that even an option? Oh yeah, it's not that big a deal. Okay, cool. Well, that's good. That's really good information. That's really good information to know up front before you invest a lot of time trying to convince them on something they're ultimately going to say no to because they're not your right fit people, right? What would an easy button look like? We talked about that one. If there was one, you always have to throw that caveat in there for the cynics. What would help look like? Do you have a budget in mind? Yeah. Have you done anything like this? Have you bought coaching before? Yeah. What did that look like? Yeah. So you're trying to understand where that person is coming from. Dove Gordon has a phrase for this. He says, I want to understand someone's past, their present, and the future of where they want to go. It's a timeline approach. I really like that. So let's talk about this special invitation for a minute. Remember, I told you this is about, the challenge today is about creating those offers. We want this to be irresistible, right? The person saying, oh, wait, tell me more about that. What? Yeah, Actually, that I'm pretty interested. Like, what are the details on that? They're asking for more. Very different conversation when we go to a restaurant and we're ordering from the menu, or we're asking for, I want this, as opposed to someone trying to hawk it on the side of the road. Hey, come into this place, right? This is irresistible. They want it. It's driven. The motivation's coming from them. That you become indispensable. When they understand the context and you've found the right people, it will become indispensable to them. You can't make that. You have to understand their story. But when it's indispensable, again, the motivation comes from them. The selling is easy. You've done the pre-work. You did the hard work up front, so the selling conversation just flows easily. And you feel invincible. That's that awesome feeling when you're winning. And you know what I'm talking about. Whatever winning means for you, but you feel like you can take on the world. And that is what I find the juice in this process. This is what I love about this, because you can win this way. You may feel like you need 25 new clients to hit those goals, but you will be winning when you have this conversation with 2, 3, 4, 5 people on a new thing that you're launching, because the momentum will ultimately take you where, allow you to shift through those 4 gears that we talked about before. Again, apologies, Kat, but I do like to call this killer offers in a day, because you guys know what I'm talking about. And I say in a day because I have coming up, not this week, but next week, a half-day workshop where we do a deep dive on this. Like, how do you actually do this? And we do the work. It is not, let me be clear on this. This is so important. I'm going to put it in red. This is not a teaching workshop. This is a do the work workshop. At one point, I actually called it a hackathon. You guys know what hackathons are? People go to a hackathon and they create a product. People get together in teams and you create something in a day. That's what we do. It's that kind of workshop. I'll explain more details, but this is, it's not sit there and listen for half day. It is sit there and listen to get a couple of the details, but you've got all the information beforehand. You just ask the clarifying questions, and then we go to work. And then when you get stuck and someone says something that you didn't expect, or, I'm not sure about this, someone's right there, me, to answer your question. That's what we do in the workshop, killer offers in a day. And we're focused on 4 big questions. What I've found when I've done this work with folks, it always comes down to these 4 questions. I jokingly say it's like you're climbing a mountain and someone drops a big boulder right in the middle of your path. And at the time, it looks like you can't get around it. It's too big to climb over. It's like stopped you in your tracks. And the first big question is, I don't know where to find my people. This is a new offer. The people I worked with in the past are not right for this offer. I have no idea where they are. So we solve that problem. And the funny thing is, everyone who solves this problem, after you get over this first big boulder, you look back and you're like, yeah, it wasn't that big a deal, actually. Everyone says that. Oh yeah, this is how I find them. There's a process. So we do that. I have a whole bunch of playbooks and stuff that help you walk through that. The second thing, though, as soon as they get over that first boulder, they always go up against the next one and they say, yeah, okay, I found them. Like you were right. They were right there all along. I just couldn't see them. And here's why. But now that I can see them, I don't know what to say to them. How do I start a conversation? So we walk through how to spark a conversation with a stranger, right? A comfortable, casual conversation with a stranger, right? How do we make that easy and playful and fun? When you get over that boulder, because that one feels like even bigger than the first one, the second one feels bigger, and then you're like, you look back and yeah, that one wasn't really the problem. This is what people did to me. Yeah, it wasn't really that. That wasn't my problem. My problem is, I am chatting with these people now. I've got conversations going. We kind of hit it off. Like I got some new friends, and then they say, how do I turn this into a sales conversation, right? We're talking, Kat says, we're talking about the weather, not whether we should be working together. It's not that meaty conversation where we actually talk business. It's just friendly chatter. How do I make that turn, right? And so we get over that boulder too. There's actually a really elegant, easy process for that. And then the last one is, how do you have that sales conversation? How do you make it easy to enroll without chasing people around, without having to chase them down, right? Because that's no damn fun. What else do we want? So Yeah, so this is a book cover. I think some of you guys saw this. Let's do it that way. That makes sense. So this is the book that's actually, Kat and I are doing this one together. It's called Experts Never Chase. We are launching our pre-sale program that starts next week also in conjunction with this workshop that I'm doing. The books will be in hand May the 4th, because that's a significant date for some of us. May the 4th be with you, right? My business was actually created and legally formed on May the 4th. And I've, for years, have done significant things on that day. So this book is coming out then. In between, we're running a Kickstarter together. We're going to do the workshop, and we actually want to gather a circle. Basically, people want to be success stories. They want to see this process from the inside out. They want to work the process. They want to get their success stories. We want to, the book's pretty much written, so I can't promise you that we're going to work you in, but there's going to be all kinds of marketing and momentum and conversation and stuff going around the book. So that will be part of the workshop as well. The workshop is not a one-day event. I'll show you more about that in a moment. The special invitation is, okay, here's if you're not a member of Book of Experts, cover your ears for a second, right? So for you guys who are members, here's how this is going to work. We do deep discounts on this stuff. When we have something new that's outside the bounds of what we created through Book of Experts, we make sure you guys get the inside track, the deep discount. So it will be a 50% off discount only for folks who are already in Book of Experts. Okay, if you're interested in this is not right for some of you. I know you. I know where you're at. Some of you, it is exactly what you need, because we've talked about that new offer and it's not coming together yet. And you're probably feeling cursed, right? So if you want someone to do that with you and actually get the right information that you need, the playbooks and stuff ahead of time, study it, then we go do it together, and I follow up and I stick with you until you get the results. You get the first couple of people enrolled. That's what we're doing in the workshop, right? That's for you guys. All right. Non-members, here's the deal for you. For you guys, we actually talked about how can we create something. So there's the cost for the workshop for a little bit more, basically plus, what do they call it? Supersize your workshop experience. You can get a full year of Book of Experts too. And you should want to do that, because why wouldn't you want to be in with the other experts so you can get to know your strategic partners? So you can go to the events, the networking events, the monthly masterminds, so that we can remember we talked about the hook. I was talking about you guys sharing the hooks, the purple cow experience that we do on Wednesdays. You should come in and get that, your hook, who, how, now formula. And then you can go out and meet other people and let that framework start to go to work for you. Right. So I'm not pitching. I'm not going to get into what Book of Experts is. If it's new to you, if you're one of our new, free members, or you don't even know what we are, talk to one of the folks. Let one of us help you get set up. I'm assuming that you are an expert, right? You may not even use that term and call yourself that, but you know something that is not commonplace. It's not a commodity. It's not a e-commerce store. You're not a real estate agent where you just serve people in your region, but you're actually a speaker, an author. You've got a book out there. You've got a YouTube channel. You're teaching people a unique and oftentimes doing the transformational work that individuals and businesses need most. If that's you, you should at least be listed in Book of Experts with a free listing. Why wouldn't you be? Right? And then come to some of the events so we can get to know you a little bit better. I think, yeah. So that's all I have on that. Let me, what would be most, we got 5 minutes left. Let me show you. Okay, I've got two things that I'm going to do with you guys. Here's how this is going to work. I'm going to show you how I do my offer in just a moment. And then we're going to cut the live stream part of it, and I'm going to go into AirMeet. I'll grab that link because I'm sure somebody has joined us that didn't see this earlier. So I'm going to throw it in the chat one last time. I threw that link in there. That's where you can go to join us on the Q&A tables, because I have an assignment for you guys on the tables. We're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to talk about that offer that you kind of been thinking about. Whether it's you're actually going to do it or not, doesn't matter. We're just going to talk about it. And I have a framework that we're going to use, and we'll talk about that in Air Meet. And then when we do the tables, you guys will be able to share it with others and get feedback tonight. We're going to start this challenge tonight so that you guys can go and actually make progress on this. And some of you are going to walk away with how big could this idea be if it becomes a new part of your business? Like if you get this part right and the language comes from someone else and it becomes that marketing that just sells itself, what could that be for your business, right? We're going to start that process today. So that's coming up next. Let me show you, let me screen share one last thing, because I think this will be useful for some folks. Yeah, this one. So I don't have a fancy website. Most of my time is spent on Book of Experts these days. We've been really busy building out for you guys the community there. This is actually the document. This is how I share details on the client in a day workshop. This is how I do it. Like, it was super fancy, right? By the way, notice from a meta perspective, notice what I'm doing here. I did not have to build a fancy funnel. I'm talking to you guys directly. And I know some of you, you're actually right here in my mind. I'm thinking about you as we're walking through this. This document has like if what I shared tonight resonates with you, this is the detail piece that you'd want to see. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. No worries. Like it's not for you. But I know there were some questions out there. So this is the document. There's a little bit of a letter from me kind of explaining why at the beginning. But if you see right here, it says, just show me the details. Like, get out of my way. Just show me the details. You're going to click on this bookmark, and it jumps down to a little bit lower in the document. You don't have to read that letter that I have for you guys at the top. And this is how it's going to work. There's pre-event access. That means this week and next week, I'm going to be sharing my playbooks that I use actively myself, that I've used with previous workshops. Then there's the 4-hour event day. That's the workshop day where we talk about how that's going to work. And then there's the post-event support, including my promise. This is also, by the way, a bookmark that you can click. This is my promise to what you're going to get, my personal promise to you guys, that it's not just you're buying a program, you walk away and you're stuck with it. No, I have a promise on this, and you'll see the details of that. Here's what you get. So in this, it's the smoke test that I use for eager buyers. It's a checklist. The client scoring matrix that I've adopted, the casual conversation starter kit, right? The conversation worthy micro audience of perfect fit buyers. Like, how do we actually know? I call this, here's the truth, guys. I used to call it the OAR, the offer accelerator rubric, but I've shifted the metaphor. So it's reverse gear. I need to update this part of it. But the offer audit and the offer accelerator rubric, it's really what I've been sharing tonight, the new information. How to name your signature program. I've got a playbook on that. The 2 killer questions to ask that will guarantee that your leads will never say that's too expensive or that's not a priority for me right now. The we need to chat invitation framework, the question of all questions. This is all the stuff that I use myself, that I share with folks in our workshops. So you get this. Here's a little bit of the background information. The cost is the $997. You can do basically $2,500 if you want to do the paid in full. And what are you going to do? You're going to get at least one new client or $5,000 new business. And I explained that in the promise part of it. So I buzzed through those details. Where are we at time-wise? We're hitting the top of the hour. So here's what's going to happen now. We are actually going to, I'm going to close down the live stream, because we are on 6-7 different multi-streaming channels right now. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook in a couple places, we're on YouTube. So I'm going to close that stuff down. I appreciate you if you just caught us on social media. I appreciate you sticking with us for a little bit, seeing some of you guys, maybe we've crossed paths. You don't really know who I am or what I do. This is my fun, happy place talking about this stuff. I love this work. There's a really good process for it. I've gone all in on this. Again, my background as a digital marketer was different a few years ago. And then I learned from a bunch of really smart people. And the big thing with this workshop is around this book. We have a book launch coming up. I want you guys to be a part of it and see on the inside and to play a part of this. And so I'm building that into the workshop too. And if that's exciting to you, we can talk a little bit more, but you got to come play in Air Meet because that's where I'm going next. I think that's all for now. We just hit the top of the hour. Let me get over to Air Meet. I'm excited to chat with folks there. I will see you guys next week. Tony Banta is actually coming on, and we're going to be talking about how do you build your business for 100% retention. Yeah, right. Like no one walks away. 100% retention. He has a process and a system. We'll be talking about that next week.